Hello, and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we're talking about how to make a 1080p game look better on your next-gen consoles. And yes, I said that, consoles. This works on Xbox Series X and S, as well as the PlayStation 5. I do not have any of the upgraded last-gen consoles still, like the Xbox One X or the PS4 Pro. So I cannot tell you if that will work on those, but I know for sure it does work on your next-gen consoles. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started with this. So, if you have a 4K TV in a next-gen console, and you're playing any of your 1080p or lower resolution games, when you turn them on your next-gen console, the picture looks blown out. All the trees look really fuzzy. All the vegetation looks really fuzzy. The character models look off. Everything just looks blurry, right? Am I right? Everything just looks really blurry. Now, I'm not saying that 1080p is not going to look blurry, because it does. After your eyes adjust to seeing 4K all the time, and then you go down to full HD, resolutions like 1080p, and like below that is a little bit tougher. Yeah, the TVs do have, I mean, the consoles do have settings for that too, but by and large, this method really works. So I'm just going to tell you, that way you don't have to sit here and like go through my whole 10-minute video that I plan on making. If you go into your settings on your Xbox and you go down to TV, to where it says TV source or whatever, TV input and source or whatever, you go in there, and then on the side, on the top left, you're going to have your resolution. Click that box, go down to 1080p, click that. No, you do not have to turn off allow 4K. Allow 4K, if that's on, is supposed to let you still continue to play 4K content with that 1080p selected. So if you go into like one of your 4K games, it should, I haven't tested this yet, so I don't necessarily know, but it should let you still play in 1080p. Yes, HDR still does work with 1080p. Resolution has nothing to do with your HDR. If your TV is compatible with HDR and the game's putting out in HDR, you will still retain HDR content. HDR, auto HDR on Xbox still does work, as well as Dolby Vision. So if the game is being output in Dolby or in auto HDR, it'll be converted to Dolby Vision, and then it will move forward with that. So all you have to do is select the output resolution for your Xbox to send your TV a 1080p. Your TV will then, depending on the model, will either enhance that a lot more, or it will just output it at 1080p. And what will happen is your TV will basically just mimic a 1080p TV screen and not blow the picture out to try to fit 4K. To try to fit a 1080p image on 4K. Now, PlayStation 5 is the exact same way. You will go down to your screen and sound settings. You will go over to the resolution. You will hit that and you will select 1080p. Not 1080pi, 1080p. I mean, you can select 1080pi if you want, but I only tried the 1080p. And by and large, it freaking works. Like, this makes your games look better and retain far more detail than when they're blown out. Because is what happens is when you're outputting these games at 1080p to a 4K screen, the PlayStation is saying, "Oh yeah, man, these are 4K," and your TV is like, "Okay, it's 4K," and it's filling all those pixels, and then it's making everything look stretched. It's blowing everything way out of proportion. So you're losing fine detail. You're losing you're losing a lot. Like, the lighting's getting messed up. Like, everything looks freaking terrible. And we've all seen this before. Every person I know that's like, "Man, I play a 1080p game and they look like trash." Like, they do. They look freaking terrible. But this method, and it's in both of these consoles, and depending on the TV you got, could be even better, could give you even a better image. But for the base, to get your games to be able to fit on your screen and not look distorted or stretched or blurry or fuzzy or whatever, simply select 1080p on those games. play your games on the 1080p setting, you're going to get a lot better, a lot better. So Grand Theft Auto 5, I'll tell you the games I tested on the PlayStation 5. On the PlayStation 5, I tested Grand Theft Auto 5. I tested The Order 1886. I tested Need for Speed, the 2016 reboot, 2017, the reboot from Ghost Games. And then I also tested, I was going to test Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, but that one was taking too long to like get all set up. So I instead tested Drive Club. Now, Drive Club came out way back when PlayStation 4 first launched, and I was blown away at just how much better this game looks when you switch to 1080p on your PlayStation 5. This game looks good again. It looks, because this game was already standout. It already looked amazing. I already loved it. And then getting on there and playing the bikes, the Drive Club bikes, wow, what a freaking improvement. I'm so glad that I'm able to retain that without having to set my console up on a 1080p TV to play that. This is freaking amazing. Now, I made a video about this earlier, but I only covered the Xbox consoles, but this does work for PlayStation, so PlayStation is getting definitely a recognition for this as well. And there is another thing that the PlayStation 5 does that maybe a lot of people aren't aware, but it does have auto HDR as well on that. I do not think it's as robust as like what Xbox is doing, but it does output every game at HDR. It does upscale them to HDR. It's definitely hit and miss, just like it is with Xbox, but by and large, it does work. And I have noticed some of that in some of these games. I would really love for PlayStation to get Dolby Vision or something like that, so that we could really start to see, the more detail, and have developers really push harder to support the Dolby Vision, because it gives us way more color space, way more, and it looks a lot better. So yeah, I put some time into this. I definitely put some time into this, just like I did with my Dolby Vision videos. This is this is a game changer in my eyes, because now those games that I once thought were literally dead to me, like I was like, I'm not gonna play these, they look too bad. Oh man, yeah, they look so much better on the Xbox. I jumped on the Xbox and I tried some more that I had downloading. I had Watch Dogs 2 that was downloading last night, and I just didn't get around to it. Battlefield 4 that I had downloading. I had Rage 2 that I had downloading, and then it was something else I thought that I had downloading, but yeah. So I tried these 3 games. There was one more, but I just forgot the name of it. There was Battlefield 4. That game just looks like it doesn't matter what you do with that game, clearly. I think that one maybe came out at 720, and I tested it at 1080, so it still looked a little rough, like pretty rough. I do plan on going back in there and trying the 720 setting to see if I can make that one look any better. But as that one sits, it still kind of looks but Watch Dogs 2, on the other hand, much freaking better. And now it supports auto HDR with the Dolby Vision, so it even looks brighter and more colorful and better. That game's running at 900p, so you're still getting a little bit of blur, whatever, on that. So in the bigger open world games, it does help. But mainly everything right close to you. Everything really close to you, you're going to retain all that detail, and it's going to look like it did when it first came out. It's going to look still good. But when you get out to the distance, it was not True Crimes. It's like True Crimes, but it's the one from Square Enix. Yeah, I still forgot the name of it. Okay, gosh dang it. I remember what the game is, but I don't remember. But this game looks phenomenal. Far Cry 6 and then Rage 2. Oh my gosh. Okay, when this game came out, Xbox One X was basically the top of the thing. This game launched at 1080p. Didn't have HDR. It was a 1080p, but it's 60. But it ran 60 frames a second. Like this was pretty cool. It was a pretty decent open world. The open world mimics what it looks like on Just Cause 4, and both of these worlds look pretty good. But the 1080p stretched on 4K screen just always looked so bad. When I got this TV, the upscaler did kind of fix that a little bit, but putting that thing in 1080p, that game looks freaking phenomenal now. Like literally phenomenal. Like I'm blown away at just how good that looks, because that one there is running at a native 1080p. There's no trickery in that. So everything looks crisp and sharp when you switch that to 1080p. If your game has dynamic resolution scalers or any of that kind of stuff, and it's not native 1080p, yeah, it's still gonna look a little rough. Like I'll tell you that right now. It's still gonna look a little rough. When I put in Need for Speed on the PlayStation 5, the one that Ghost Games did, when I loaded into that game and I was sitting in the garage and I'm looking at everything, I'm like, gosh damn, this game was beautiful. And I get out on the road and I start driving around and stuff, and I'm like, wow, man, like playing this game, it like, man, they nailed that Need for Speed Underground, that first Need for Speed Underground feel that you had back when you first played this. Like they nailed that, man. They really did nail that. That game, for the most part, looks freaking phenomenal, and being able to bring my resolution back down to 1080p and really experience that game again, it's really, really cool. Hey, doggy. The dog decided to barrel her way in to say hi while we're recording. How nice of you, Pandy. So, well, seeing as the dog's here, I'm going to go ahead and cut that short. I'm going to give you a chance to go ahead and try this. Please put something in the comments. I want to know if this changed that experience for you like it did for me. I love finding these things. I love stumbling on these, okay? Because when I'm playing like Assassin's Creeds, you know, like the older Assassin's Creeds, the 1080p ones, now on the 1080p, it restores that game back to a place where I'm not sitting there wishing, you know, that, oh man, I wish this would get an upgrade, or I wish this looked better. No, man, it looks good again. It looks fine. I mean, 1080p on a 1080p screen looks great. 4K on a 4K screen looks great, but 1080p on a 4K screen just doesn't look right. So then once you get that upscaled, once you get that to work fine, it looks a lot better. So if you don't have a TV with a super fancy smancy freaking upscaler in it, switch your system to 1080p. Let me know in the comments what it does for you. I'm getting a pretty decent amount of comments on the other video I made. That's why I needed to get PlayStation in on this, because PlayStation deserves some credit as well for allowing you to put this into 1080p and run that. So if you like this content and you found this interesting, like I said, drop a comment, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one, man. Thank you for watching.